All right, good morning, traders. Today it's October 8th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following my content, subscribing to my content, reading my content, leaving kind words for my content. Thumbs up. I like that. Appreciate all of it. Thank you for sharing my content. Special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted for sharing it. Appreciate that. Helping get the good word out there. Hey, good morning, Scott, and everybody else here early in the morning. Appreciate that. So let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Let's take a peek at what we see in the overnight. See if we can extract some profitable clues out of the tea leaves that we see this morning. All right, so my SPY pivot today, 670 above, and I'm a bull, below, and I'm a bear. QQQ, SPY, GLD, no, not IWM. Just SPY, QQQ, and GLD made new all-time highs. Diamond Dow made a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. IWM made a lower low and a lower high, closing inside a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. FNGU made a lower low and a lower high, closing over a bearish trap over the 17 EMA. SPY closed with 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute bear flag consolidation. Silver made a lower low and a lower high, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17. USO made an outside day, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17. UNG, now in a daily uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. US dollar index, I think they broke that downtrend. I think they're now in an uptrend because they closed near 98.61. SPY max pain is 670 with a put to call ratio of about 2.3 puts to each call that expires today at 4:15. All right, if this is your first time seeing this, these are all in bullish uptrends over the daily bullish uptrends over the daily 17 EMA. These are all in daily bullish, bearish downtrends under the daily 17 EMA. Okay, uptrends over, downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, they're building out a bull flag or a launch pad from which to launch higher. If they got a little star next to it over here, they're building out a platform or a bear flag from which to dip lower. All right, let's go take a look at the markets this morning. Here's SPY. I'm going to tell you, last night in the futures market, they were leaning on the midpoint all night. Every time it came down, they came right back to the midpoint. Just want to recognize that. I actually see a breakout coming. Could be a big move today back to the upside. So I really thought it was going to break down after looking at this, and then now I see the exhaustion candle with a 3-candle exclamation point, double bottom here, and all night long they spent leaning on that midpoint. They are just dying to get on top of that midpoint and come back up here and challenge these highs. That's what I see. So that was consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. So, I mean, I got to call it like it is. I thought we were going to break down. I'm wrong. It looks to me like we're going to go higher. So there's SPY. On the 10-minute chart, we ran into 10-minute consolidation. Very last candles, you can see right here, 1, 2, right here. A weak 2-candle uptrend. Now, I thought it was weak because we could never make it back to VWAP all day yesterday. So I thought I saw a lot of weakness, but then in the overnight action, we'll see. I mean, they were leaning on that midpoint all night long, so we'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Again, we had a 10-minute downtrend that we traded yesterday. Made a lot of money on that. Deep pullback right there. And then it went into consolidation over to the right. I thought they would have bounced back to VWAP. They never even made it, which told me they were kind of weak. All right. Usually a bounce should get you back to VWAP. If they can't make it back to VWAP, that tells me that the bulls are incredibly weak here, down here. But you can see we leaned on the midpoint all night long up on top of VWAP. We'll see what happens. All right, and then into the close, got a weak 2-candle uptrend. I'm going to call it bear flag consolidation in the open market. On the 2-hour chart, I'm going to flip to another one. 2-hour chart right here. Let's pick up a clean chart. Okay, so we got candles, and the 3 are underneath the 8. Okay, this is the white line. This is the 8 EMA. It's hidden right underneath VWAP right there. So take VWAP and dial it back. Another VWAP. Here, let me just delete that one. All right, so here's right here's the 8 EMA. You can see candles and the 3 are underneath the 8. So we have a bearish 2-hour downtrend coming into the close last night. Let me crank that back up because I need it on my chart. All right, so let's take a look at the daily chart. All right, on the daily chart, we made a brand new all-time high. We pulled back and closed inside the bullish uptrend, or the bullish trap right there. Closed inside a bullish trap over a rising 17 EMA. So SPY made new all-time high yesterday. Not by much, but made new all-time high. So we'll see what happens. So there's SPY on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, still in an uptrend, still bullish. Top of quadrant 4, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken. Monthly chart, top of quadrant 4, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, daily chart, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, 2-hour, we're in a downtrend. Now my favorite trade's 10-minute uptrend inside the 2-hour uptrend. All right, but we don't have a 2-hour uptrend. We may get one later today. We'll see what happens. That resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly, inside the monthly. I like it when I got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. All right, so right now, currently, we got a 2-hour downtrend. All the bigger time frames are still in uptrends. So there's SPY. Let's take a look at the game plan. And on the 15-minute game plan right here, let's back off this and bring this into focus. Okay, so we got green erases red over 672.35. The pivot is 670. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. You got red erases green underneath 667.70. That would be our red erases green. I like on both SPY and QQQ 2 days till expiration and 9 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. So they would expire on Friday, and they would be on a multiple of 5, like 675, 670, 665, 660. That would be a multiple of 5. Okay, I like strikes. I trade strikes, $2 to $15 out of the money. You can trade in the money, but you're gonna pay up dearly for those in the money options. They do cost more, but you get better performance. I will tell you that. Okay. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of performance in order to capture, in order to maintain a little less risk. Remember, every trader has to do risk management. All right, so for me, it's easier for me to maintain risk if I'm out of the money options, all right, than it is to have in the money options. It's easier for me. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, we're in an uptrend. Yesterday we were in a 2-hour uptrend at the beginning of the day, a daily uptrend, a weekly, and a monthly. I'm not a big fan of going counter trend, okay? But when I do, I like to take it on the second day. But I do trade them sometimes, all right? But I'm just saying, I'm not a big fan of going counter trend. I'd rather buy the pullback, all right? When I get a downtrend, I'd rather buy the pullback, especially on the first day. Because I'm not a big fan of going counter trend, all right? Because number one, the market is bullish, and I don't like going against the market, okay? But I did see a few clues yesterday that made me want to take it. All right, so here we had a 10-minute downtrend underneath VWAP right here. We traded this yesterday, made money, and then into this. This did nothing but consolidate over to the right in a bear flag pattern into the close right there. All right, now I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. If a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP happens to manifest down here under the pivot or under the red erases green, all right, or well before the green erases red entry, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the 10-minute rubber band candle, the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. Same thing with downtrends. I'm not opposed to trading a downtrend if it happens to manifest or originate up here long before the red erases green entry. All right, long before the red erases green entry, as long as it breaks the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle to the downside. Okay, so there's my SPY game plan. Okay, so again, I'm not opposed to trading downtrends that originate up here and move down here. I don't have to wait till price gets to the red erases green entry to take a short. I don't have to wait till the green erases red entry to take a long. All right, I can take them down here, but I have parameters in place in order to take them down here. All right, there has to be some sort of confirmation, some sort of proof. Just can't aimlessly take an uptrend or a downtrend, like an uptrend that manifests here or a downtrend that manifests up here. All right, there has to be some sort of clue, some sort of proof to show me a reason to take it in that area. All right, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ's got a game plan as well. Pivot for QQQ, 606.15. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath, 603.60. Green erases red over 609.20. All right. I like 2 days till expiration, 9 days till expiration. Friday options, same thing on the multiple of 5. Okay. I trade strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money. Again, I like them. I like those because they offer less risk, but I will give up some performance. In the money options have a much better performance. You'll see the delta is close to 90 to 100. Okay, I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like them when they're peeling away, up, and away from VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I like them when they're peeling down, and away from VWAP. See the separation of the candles from the VWAP line. That's a moving average. Okay, so I like it when they're peeling away from that. Okay, so there's QQQ. There's the game plan for that. Let's take a look at this on the 10-minute chart. And we'll pick up a clean one. So you can see we have 10-minute consolidation coming into the close yesterday. And I'm going to call it a weak 3-candle uptrend. I'm really going to call it a bear flag consolidation. It's hardly an uptrend. It's not even made a higher high except for right here. That's it. So there's QQQ. That would be the weakest 2-candle uptrend I've ever seen right there on the 10-minute chart. On the 2-hour chart, you can see price action. See the white line? That's the 8 EMA. Same as on SPY. You get the candles in the 3 EMA are underneath the 8, so we have a 2-hour downtrend. Again, my favorite trade for QQQ is a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend. that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Again, I want all those bigger time frames supporting my little 10-minute uptrend. All right, so that's my favorite trade. The other one is I like a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that is above the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's another one of my favorite trades. You got an uptrend over VWAP that is also above the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's another one of my favorite trades I like to take. Right now we're sitting on top of the 917 rate cut rally. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay, on 917, you can see right here, this is when the Fed announced they're going to do a quarter-point basis cut. So I am calling this, all of this, the 917 rate cut rally. It's still a continuation of, this huge rally right here, but I'm calling this section, okay, over from the 17th on up. This is what I'm calling the rate cut rally, okay? If they sign a budget bill, all right, and I will call that the budget bill rally, all right, as soon as they get that signed. Not sure if they're going to get that signed. We'll see what happens. Okay, so there's QQQ on the 2-hour chart. On the daily chart, I'll back way out so you can see it. By the way, QQQ made a higher high. I'll look at it on the 10 so you can see it. This was the previous days. This was yesterday's high. They just inked it out just barely. So it was like not. It was not a significant new high. Okay, notice it was not like a couple bucks or more. It's just barely. They just barely inked it out up there. Okay, so which puts them in the threat of, probably pulling back because it's not a significant new high. And of course, we did pull back because we failed to make a significant new high. So there's QQQ. Back to the daily chart. I wanted to pan way out. So now that you see that we made a new all-time high, you can see the move from April. We're still up here in quadrant 4, at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, and we're still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken there. Okay, that's QQQ. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Okay, Diamond Dow made a higher high and a higher low, just barely. Closed inside the bullish uptrend, all right, the bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA. Okay, so that's still bullish and still in an uptrend on Diamond Dow. Okay, still bullish up there, still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. IWM. IWM made a lower low and a lower high, closing in the same bullish trap right there over the rising 17. Again, it's at the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish, still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet, okay? So there's IWM. FNGU. All right, FNGU made the high here is 29.50. The high here is 29.52. Outside day. Higher high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. There's FNGU. Still no breakout yet. Okay, so we got a little mini bear flag inside of our bull flag. All right, that's FNGU. Little mini bear flag inside the bull flag. Still at the top of quadrant 4. So that's bullish and in an uptrend right there, FNGU. All right, let's take a look at gold and silver. Gold made a new all-time high. All right, making another new all-time high this morning. Okay, new all-time high for gold. Obviously, it's bullish and in an uptrend. Silver. Silver had a lower high and a lower low, closed inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. That's at the top. I'm going to pan out. It's at the top of quadrant 4. that's bullish, still in an uptrend. This is the all-time high, about 48.50, right up there. They're getting close. They're about $4. They're about $4 away right now. Silver. Let's take a look at USO. USO goes up. Okay, see the price action candles? They go up, they give it up. They go up, they give it up. That's just neutral when they go up and give it up. Same thing as if they go down. If they go down and give it up, that's neutral as well. Okay, it's not just one-sided. If they go up, they give it up, that's neutral. Okay, when they go up and they hold the higher ground, that's when it's bullish. All right, but right now they continue to go up and give it up. So they can't hold the higher ground. So you can see up here, if they were in the upper third, they would be bullish, but they can't. They haven't been able to produce that in a long, long time, and they were there for a couple days, and then they lost it. They were here for half a week or a week, and then they lost it. Okay, so they keep pulling back to, well, that's a 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the post-COVID rally high right there, anchored VWAP. All right, so price action, you can see, is just kind of chomping around on the midpoint. So they go up, they give it up. That makes them neutral. All right, they got a low here. They made a lower low, so they're also in a downtrend. Keep in mind, they're still on the bullish side of the midpoint here. Even though they're in a downtrend, they're not, they're still neutral. All right, they're still neutral. They're in a downtrend that's not moving down. Let's look at the facts, okay? It's a downtrend, but it's not moving down. They've been chomping around on quadrant 3 now for about probably 3 or 4 months. Well, since June 15th, basically. Well, even before. Okay, so since June, July, August, September, they've just been chomping around inside here. Okay, so there's USO neutral in a downtrend that's not moving down. Okay. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG got an uptrend. Okay. They happen to get an uptrend by taking out this high. That is a peak between two valleys. And they made a higher high, so they're in an uptrend. Bear in mind, they're still in the lower third. So they're still bearish. All right, down here. Okay. They may be in an uptrend. And they may be making higher lows and higher highs. So they're in an uptrend, but they're still down here in quadrant 1. That makes them bearish in my book right there. So there's UNG. Maybe they climb themselves out of there. That'd be great. At least get out of the lower third. Show me something. Get up there and hold the higher ground. That would be interesting if they could do that. Haven't seen it yet. They've held the lower ground. Haven't seen them hold the higher ground. Okay, so until they do that, I'm going to consider them bearish as long as they're stuck down here in quadrant 1. Let's face it, these were all-time lows right there. They're not far from the all-time lows. You want to see how far back the all-time highs are? Okay, we're down here at 13. Okay, you want to see some all-time highs? Yeah. We're way off the all-time highs. Okay? Way off. Let's just go back recently. 2022, post-COVID rally right there. 135. Okay? Not even going back to all-time history. Okay? Still way off. Okay? So, they're bearish for a reason, because they deserve it. Alright? There's UNG. You want to be bullish? Prove it. Okay? So they need to get up here over the 1/3 mark. All right? In order to break that. So there's UNG. And that is the all-time low right there. Okay? So back to the daily chart. Let's go take a look at our technicals. Okay? Let me find them here. T2101. Yep, this is our T2101. Okay, so last time we were here, all right, we had the COVID dip. Okay, we had a double bottom in this area between the green line and the blue line, a double bottom in here, and then we had the COVID dip. We'll see what happens, all right? Yesterday, we got in here twice, and then we commenced a pullback. All right, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so there's T2101 pulling back. This is market participation. So we're getting less and less participation day by day. All right, which makes it easy for the bulls to make brand new all-time highs. Okay, if there's nobody standing in their way. Okay, if there's no hurdles and no obstacles, and there's nothing but flat ground, nice easy running. Okay, they can make new all-time highs. It's going to be relatively simple for them to do it if there's nobody in their way. So, as you can see, market participation, is at a 5-year low. Okay, because the last time we were here was 2020, right here. Okay, this was the beginning of the COVID dip, where price fell apart, and right there was the beginning of the COVID rally, which brought us right back up to here. Okay, so this is the last time. We were in here 5 years ago. We did a double dip in here, and then we pulled back. So I just want to let you know. The other thing I saw yesterday, in addition to the double bottom in the reversal zone, okay, possible double bottom in the reversal zone. I'm going to head back to the charts one more time. I'm going to pull up SPY, because that's the one we watch the most. And I got the 10-minute chart. Okay, we had a triple top up here because we made a high in the overnight section. We actually got one right here. So we had, let's see if the drawing tools work. I don't expect them to work. No, not going to work. We got a fix for that. So we got a top here, and a top here. All right, so we have a triple top. All right, in addition to the double bottom in the T2101, we got a pullback. So I don't know where we wind up today. We were leaning on the midpoint all night long, and we don't seem to want to give it up even in the pre-market. So it kind of tells me the bulls are more interested in making a higher high with less participation in the market. So we'll see what happens. So here was the, right here was one high right there, second high, and then there's the third high right there. So we had a triple top on the 10-minute chart. We'll see what happens today. So one of them happened on the 3rd, one of them happened on the 6th, and one of them happened on the 7th. Usually when you get a triple top like that, you do get a pullback. And we got the pullback yesterday. Okay, now whether it continues on to visit the 917 rate cut rally anchored VWAP, we'll see. All right, right now they're still leaning on the midpoint of the pullback, and they've been grinding on it all night long, trying to get higher highs with no success right there. Okay, so we'll see what happens. All right, that's T2101. Let's go back to T2122. All right, we spent the day in the sell zone. Okay, not a good look for the bulls. All right, spent the whole day inside the sell zone. If we look at T2123, there should be a lot of selling going on, and there was. You can see T2123 selling from the beginning of the day clearly to the end of the day, and we find ourselves unable to hold the higher ground over the flat 200 or the dipping 200. Not a good sign for the bulls here either. You can see we have a bullish gap right there that got filled. Okay, selling from the beginning to the end, and we find ourselves underneath a dipping 200 SMA. Not a good look for the bulls. Okay, on the 15-minute chart, T2123 is in a downtrend. Okay, it's making lower lows. On T2123 3-bar chart, we are in a downtrend. Here is a low. There is a valley high, peak high. There's another lower low. T2123 3-bar is in a downtrend. Okay, we're still consolidating in a bull flag up at the top of quadrant 4, so that makes it bullish. But bear in mind, on the bigger time frame, we just hit downtrend status yesterday on the very last candle right there. Okay, we're up over the 200 SMA. It's a good place to be. I like it when we're leaning on the all-time highs. We're no longer leaning on the all-time highs, and we've started a downtrend. Hopefully the bulls can shake this off and come back up here and show us that they mean business and produce another new all-time high or challenge the all-time high. So there's T2123 3-bar chart, FNGU. FNGU, again, not able to hold the higher ground up here over VWAP. You can see selling. Started at the beginning of the day, got a couple green, and then resumed. Yep, selling at the beginning. Resumed all day right into about 2:30 right there. And then the bulls decided to step in and try to bring it back up over VWAP right there into the close. You can see they've been knocking on the midpoint all night long. You see them knocking on the 200 SMA door right there and not getting anywhere, knocking on it. So they couldn't hold the higher ground up over the flat 200 SMA. Not a good place for the bulls to be underneath, but if they are knocking on the door, that is a bullish outlook, because that is consolidation over prior consolidation. That is a bullish clue whenever I see price do that. And last night we had a lot of that in SPY, QQQ, and now we're looking at it in FNGU. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Again, they got to produce some higher highs. Can't just be knocking on the door all night long. So there's FNGU. All right, let's take a look at some economic numbers. Start off with the dollar. Okay, the dollar there's a high right here, and the dollar made a higher high, so that puts the dollar in an uptrend, but still in a big bear flag underneath here. They just started an uptrend because they made, see that peak? They made a higher high. So the dollar's now in an uptrend on the daily chart only, on the daily chart. Okay, price action still in a bear flag. All right, and dollar's in an uptrend, but still in that bear flag. All right, on the economic calendar, we're going to get FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. today. All right, we got a couple of Fed speakers, MBA mortgage applications at 7, and a petroleum report at 10:30, and some more Fed speakers after that. Tomorrow we got Mr. Powell's going to speak at 8:30, jobless claims at 8:30, a lot of Fed speakers, couple, no, not a lot, just a couple. Wholesale inventories at 10 o'clock, gas report at 10:30, and Michael Barr, another Fed speaker. Bauman's going to speak. Daly's going to speak. Okay, so looks like Bauman's got 1, 2, 3 speaking engagements on the same day on Thursday. Friday, we got consumer sentiment at 10, a rig count at 1, and a couple of Fed. Alberto's going to speak a couple times there. Treasury statement at 2 p.m. Okay, so that's it. So I would say that the main event's probably going to be Jerome speaking 8:30 tomorrow. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know if he's going to testify in front of Congress, if he's going to speak at Jackson Hole, or he's off at some college making a speech. Not sure what's going to happen. You can see the economic shutdown. You can see some of the economic news is getting delayed. Okay, I don't know how much longer Wall Street's going to tolerate this, all right? Typically, when they don't get economic data on time, such as earnings or economic data, they tend to have a pullback. We'll see what happens, all right? Don't want to get too ahead of it ourselves, but typically that's what happens. Recently, we just had a pullback due to the triple top we saw yesterday and the double bottom we saw in the participation T2101. Okay, on the earnings report, nothing but familiar names, all right, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Again, more familiar names. PepsiCo is going to report 191 billion. That's definitely going to help out the retail sector if they print some good numbers, but it's not a big market mover. Okay, Friday, we got more familiar names. Nothing that's really going to move the markets there. All right. While they're printing that up, I'll go to Max Payne. Max Payne is 670. Put to call ratios 2.3 puts for each call. So there's a put squeeze on the table for this morning. Now, if they dip first thing in the morning, okay, they're going to let them out. All right, because all they got to do is double down and get out at break even. All right, these are for the puts that expire today at 4:15. If they give them a dip, if they apply the pressure first thing and not let up, you will force them to buy to cover. All right, so if you see a dip in the morning, the put squeeze is off. All right, in my book, it's off if they give them a dip, because that allows them to double down and get out at break even. If they apply the pressure and they get price to go up from the very first candle and drive it into the noon hour, you will force them to buy to cover, and which will extend that rally even further into probably 2 o'clock. Okay, so you lost the screen. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna render the video and put it out there. You'll have a copy of it on that. I will fix that right now. All right, so that's it. You lost the sound and the screen. Lovely. All right, that's it for this morning. I'll see everybody in about 40 minutes, and we'll open up the markets and record our daily trades for today. All right, so let me fix this now.